everyone, welcome to the official first kitchen video of Singing Creek Farm. Now this has not been the first one filmed, but it's the first one I'm going to put out because we are making a Valentine's Day bread. Do you want to make pink bread? Yeah? So these two refused to nap. I was planning to do this during their nap time, so now they're going to help me instead. So we're going to see how that goes. Any other moms out there know the code I'm saying. Prepare for some possible emotions. But that's all good. This is life. And let's get started. So we are making an artisan sort of bread today. And I'm going to really delve into why we add all the ingredients we do more in the next video. This is just more of like a general teaser. But as far as really delving deep into bread knowledge and learning it from the very basics, you're really going to want to join us for our video series that covers the basics of bread, where you bake through it with me, and then you'll really learn what you're doing after. Yeah, I oiled this earlier and she's playing with it. All right, so right here we have 1.5 cups of warm milk. I just microwaved it to make sure it was warm. If you didn't know this, mason jars have measurements on the side, super handy. Which one of you wants to pour this in? All right, can you pour this in?
Yeah.
Ooh, had a little spill, but that's okay. It's okay. All right. She didn't spill that much, so I'm not going to replace it. Next, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of yeast. Baby Elle, do you want to add this in? Good job. Would you like to start to stir?
Yeah.
Just do it very gentle. Yes, we're all going to take turns stirring.
Like this?
Yes. And then I'm going to do the oil first so that the honey comes out easily. But there's a chicken at our back door. I don't know if you can hear it. I think it's probably Chicken Janet asking for a treat.
Yeah, it's my Janet.
All right, you want to pour this in, baby Elle? So this is a 1/4 cup of avocado oil. I like using it when I cook because it has a higher burn rate, but olive oil is really great as well. If you have to use vegetable oil, that's fine too. And then we're gonna do. Good job. This is at the last part of my honey, so it's gonna take me a minute to get it all out. But we're also doing a 1/4 cup of honey as our sweetener. If you don't have honey, you can do cane sugar or even, oops, sorry, do you want to pour it in, Sayla?
Yeah.
You can even do maple syrup if you wanted to, but that'll definitely add a bit of a maple flavor, but honestly, you may like that. So I'm going to get
No, please.
the very last bits of it out, because I was right on the money with how much honey I still had available to me. All right, I'm gonna put this in the sink real quick. All right, so now we're gonna stir that up, and we are going to let it sit until the yeast starts bubbling and becoming really active. Once we're done stirring, I'm gonna show you what it looks like now, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we come back so you know what to look for. This is what we are currently looking like. All right, guys, this is what it's looking like now. We've got lots of the bubbles from the yeast, and that means our yeast is healthy and active, and we're ready for the next step. Get your honey off that table. You bitchy. All right, so now that we have this active and bubbly, we can continue on. You can't wait? I can't wait either. So we are going to add 3.5 cups of bread flour. We are going to start, here, do you want to do it?
Yeah.
All right, watch out, BB.
Why do you cry so big?
your turn.
Ow.
All right, that was 2. 3. Good job. And then, I'm eyeballing. I left my half measuring cup out. So this recipe calls for 3 1/4 cups, but I'm gonna start, here you go, at 3 1/2. And then see if we need the extra. So we put in, very slowly, okay. So we've got 3 1/2 cups of bread flour in here. I'm now going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm using Himalayan salt. You can use that. It's very finely ground. Or kosher salt, anything like that. And while they're stirring, we are also going to add 2 teaspoons of our secret ingredient. This, it'll focus. I feel like I'm doing a makeup thing. This is purple sweet potato powder. What you doing? No. This is purple sweet potato powder. They dehydrate purple sweet potatoes and then crush it down into a powder, and it's this very vibrant purple color. So you can see in there. And this is what we're going to be using instead of dye. It's a lot better for you. And anytime I can find a way to naturally color our food, I definitely try to go that route instead. I would bet anything that beetroot powder would do this as well, except you have to be very careful with it because it's so potent. You don't want it to, I guess you might want to have it turn red for Valentine's Day, but this is what I thought I would use. I will add, so you'll notice we didn't add the salt when we did the yeast. Salt is actually an ingredient that can kill yeast, so you want to wait until there's flour in there to add that salt. So we're getting there, but we're definitely going to need that other 1/4 cup of flour. So I'm just going to add a little more flour in there because this is looking very wet. And at this point, I'm going to switch to using my hands. So now I'm just going to keep mixing this all together with my hands until it's all well combined. And you'll know you've added enough flour when it starts. You can see where we're at right now is still wet, but it's still combining. But it's going to start cleaning the dough off of the side of the bowl. And it's going to start to really come together and stop sticking to your hands. This is where we're at right now. Very, very sticky. So I'm going to add a little more, just kind of like a dust of flour over the whole thing. You often can't know the exact amount of flour you're going to have when it comes to measurements, because we all measure a cup slightly differently. That's why most people, when they really get into doing bread, they do it by weight and not by volume. But also, just, I don't know the science behind this, but all I know is like weather really changes a lot of it. Like it can be raining outside and I'll get a different result or have to add a different amount of flour than if it's not. Or if it's super hot, that changes things. And today it's different weather than when I first created this recipe. I made it up. And then I wrote down everything I did. And I'm already having to add just a little more flour than I did last time. I've added 4 cups right now, and last time it took 3 1/2. Rubbing your hands together often will get a lot of the dough off of your hands. So now what I'm going to do is turn it out because I want you all to be able to see what we're working with here. And one thing I like to do is if you have a dough scraper, it's one of these, it's really thin. If you don't have one, you can use like an old credit card or shopping card, just wash it really well. Is I like to take it and try to do this, scrape the side of the bowl with it and get all those little goodies out of there. It makes cleaning the bowl easier, but also uses all the little bits of ingredients. Lets this be really good, see, to use to rise for our dough afterwards. But if you can see now, we're nowhere near as sticky as we were before. And it's really starting to come together. Are you back?
Mama.
Yes.
Yeah, pull my hair.
She pulled your hair.
Look at the hair.
You pulled her hair?
Look.
No, you didn't.
I did.
She did. Can you, baby Elle, can you tell Sissy sorry and, and give each other a hug?
No.
Baby Elle, that's not very kind. Give Sissy a hug and say sorry. Good job. We're gonna start kneading it. And you can do all of this in a mixer with a dough hook as well, but I'm gonna show that you don't have to have fancy, expensive kitchen gadgets to make this. You wanna do some? Let me show them how to do it and then I'll let you all do some too, okay? So what we're gonna do to knead the bread is it's slightly sticky, which is where I want it. So I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of the oil onto my countertop. We don't wanna be dusting flour because that is actually going to dry out our dough and that's the last thing we wanna do. So usually, when you see me doing stuff, I'm not gonna be putting flour out, we're gonna be using oil. It's a lot better for the bread, helps it keep its integrity versus if you dust, you're just going to be adding more and more flour to your bread when you had it the right consistency at the original part. Now to know when to stop kneading, I want you to see something walking around. So right now, when I press the dough, it's kind of falling apart. That one didn't show up very good. When I press the dough, it really holds the shape, okay? So when we're done kneading, it's gonna bounce back a lot easier because when we knead the bread, we activate the gluten in it and we create layers and layers on top of each other, which helps us to really add bonds to it so that it has more bounce to the bread and it holds up the structure when it rises. So when you are kneading, the whole idea is you want to fold the bread on top of itself and push it down and just kind of keep doing that. And as you do it, it kind of forms, get off the counter, a rolling motion. And as you're folding, it's just going to start coming together more and more. If you ever need to just sprinkle a little more oil, you can. Usually whenever I'm with my kids, kneading is their favorite part. So I'll cut off a hunk of the dough for each child, proportionate to their hands. All right, girlies. So I'm just gonna drizzle some oil where they're gonna be kneading. Let me see your all's hands. Do this. All right, rub your hands together.
Like soap.
Yep, like so. Rub your hands together. That way it doesn't stick, okay? All right, there's your all breads to knead. So we're all gonna knead our bread here for a few minutes until it really all comes together and is smooth. I'm gonna be teaching you something called a window pane test in future bread baking videos. With this colored dough, it's a lot harder to do. So And this recipe is a very forgiving one. It's really hard to mess up. It's more of an artisan bread. We're not like making a soft sandwich loaf or anything like that. So we don't have to worry about that quite as much. I would say just so long as you really give it your all for kneading for about 8 to 10 minutes, you're gonna be okay. Same thing in the mixer. We have been kneading our bread. It has fully come together. It's a lot smoother than it was before. When I press it, it bounces back. Could you get off the table?
Yes.
You cheeky baby. All right, hop off. So what we're gonna do now, so I'm just gonna form this into a tight ball. If you'll see, I'm kind of pushing this away from me, pulling it back, turning it, turn, and I'm letting the tension as it grabs, pull it tight. And I've got a good ball at that point. We're very into this. So now we're gonna take our bowl we used earlier. We're gonna drizzle some oil in it so that the rising dough does not stick. You can use this if you want to help pick it up. Plop this in the center. Isn't that just a fun color? I'm so excited. And then I put just a little oil, it'll come out, there it is, on the top of the bread. And we are going to just cover this with saran wrap. And you can either, if you have a sunny window, you can set it in, or if you do not, just a warm place in your house. If it's really cold outside, which today it's actually very warm. I had a sweater on over this. I took it off. I used 2 layers. It's not reaching. I will actually turn the light on in my oven, not the oven on, just the light. And I will set the bread in there with the oven light on. And that I'll let it rise in there because it helps the temperature rise a little bit just from the heat of that light bulb. So now we've covered this, we're going to let it sit. And I can't give you an exact time for this because it really depends so much. Little miss. It really depends so much on the temperature of your house and the humidity. But I would say set an alarm for 15 minutes. Probably not gonna be ready. I think it'll take about 30 minutes for me because it's really warm today. But I would say 30 to 45 minutes and we'll be ready for our second rise. You wanna look for it to double in size. That's what you're looking for, okay? Don't let it go bigger than that. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back and Devona is home from school. I wanted to show you our bread. It has doubled in size. It's looking good. Devona and I washed our hands. Do you want to punch it down? The best part, isn't it? Do you want to punch it too?
Yeah. We can punch it together.
All right, now we're going to dump her out. Wait. There we go. You can keep playing with it if you want. So we want to make sure we get all the air bubbles out. And I'm going to go ahead and just reuse this. So I have 2, I think they're called batons, I'm not sure. But so the lining in this got eaten by my washing machine. So I don't have lining for this. So I'm just going to reuse the saran wrap. But our next step is going to be to let it rise. And this got really big when it baked. So I want to make 2 smaller loaves. And then that way the girls can decorate one and I can decorate one when it comes down to time to do that. So what we are going to do now, you girls wouldn't want to add sprinkles. Yeah! You what? You want to add sprinkles to this dough?
Yeah!
All right. I guess if you really want to. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and separate it. Hold on, let mommy do this part. We're going to go ahead and separate it into 2 loaves. I try to just kind of make it a log some kind of even shape.
School and Valentine party?
No, this is just for home. And then I'm gonna cut it in half. It doesn't have to be perfect. So then we have to, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of open it up. Do you wanna follow along with me, Devona? I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna take some of these sprinkles. These are just the traditional, here, let me come closer. The traditional rainbow sprinkles. Okay. And I am going to put, let's get back, where's my, here it is, my tablespoon. I'm gonna start with 2 tablespoons in each one.
I do.
All right. One more.
Mommy, what about me?
And we're gonna knead it into the bread. You can help me. Well, you all will take turns. I'm gonna knead it into the bread slowly and gently because I don't want to break all of these sprinkles apart to the point that it just starts coloring the bread. So I want to be kind of gentle with the kneading, but I do want to make sure that it goes throughout. So you can see it's like poking through.
That's not really what's happening to me.
So we're just gonna knead this in. Devona, can you let Sayla have a turn, please?
Can I get...
Devona. Now let Sayla have a turn, all right? Did you hear me? Okay. Sayla, it's your turn. Here, I'll help you get the rogue sprinkles. And you don't want to put these in for the first rise because they'll actually start to dissolve. And so you want to do this when you very last touch the bread because you don't want to have to knead it again after you put it in because it's going to start to dissolve its color around the wetness. And so at that point, if you started kneading it again, it's just going to create this like muddy color. And it'd just be, it would taste fine. You could still eat it. It just wouldn't be as pretty. I think this one's looking good. It's like pretty evenly dispersed throughout. So I'm just going to take any that pop through and tuck them in to the very bottom. Because that's kind of the look I'm going for in my loaf. I don't know what they want to do for theirs. Is I want it to just be this like surprise when you cut into it that it's funfetti. So this is what mine looks like, okay? You can't see any of the sprinkles on the top. And I am gonna do mine in the round. So I'm just, because I'm doing this with saran wrap, I'm gonna lay this flat and smooth the oil all over it. Put this back in the baton and then I'll lift this up and we're, instead of putting it seam side, it's not gonna go like this, it's gonna go like this, okay? Turn that upside down into our baton. Then I'm just gonna loosely fold, very loosely, fold the saran wrap over it. And we're gonna let it grow, and as it grows, it'll make this shape. And I'm gonna see if there's a way I can make it a heart without it blowing, but we'll just have to see. So for this one, I'm actually gonna just dust it with a little flour. That's how the cloth ones work.
Is this good? Mommy, is this good?
It's looking a lot better. Let me knead it a few times for you.
It's okay, I can do it.
So I'm gonna help them knead that, and then we'll put it in here, cover it, and we're gonna let both of these rise for probably 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It's about the same time as the first, and then we'll be putting them in the oven after we do the designs. All right, guys, we are back. Our bread has risen and is looking really good. So now, no, you be cheeky. So now it's time to decorate it. So what we're gonna do is You don't want to press this too hard or you're going to pop it where it's been rising. There's lots of air bubbles inside. So what we're gonna do is, I got a bunch of different heart-shaped stickers at the store, and let me grab parchment paper. It looks like I'm actually out of both parchment paper and wax paper, so I'm gonna have to put these loaves on aluminum foil, which I've never done before, so hopefully that's okay. So I'm just gonna spray it.
Okay, that's enough, that's enough.
With a little oil so it doesn't stick. I'm afraid it's gonna stick, so no touch.
No.
I'm just gonna do a little oil, a little flour, and we're gonna
Can I do the next one, Mama?
carefully plop it out. This is your all that you're gonna decorate. This one out as well. All right, we're looking good. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to brush them. No touch. So mine right here does not have any flour on the top of it, but this one does. I'm gonna see if spraying it with oil makes it disappear. It does, okay. No touch. So basically, when we put these stickers on, I'm just gonna brush that oil around to get the flour to disappear. When we put these heart stickers on, we are doing it to cover it before we dust it with flour so that it leaves heart shapes afterward. So we don't want flour on it when we first put on the stickers. So girls, what I can have you do is anywhere on the bread, you can put some heart stickers on it, but you have to be very gentle. Okay, so you're gonna just like put a heart sticker on it, but you're gonna be super gentle, okay? So I have not done this before. I'm afraid I'm gonna pop it, but I'm actually gonna take this and I'm gonna just, because mine's round, I wanna see if I can make it a heart shape. So I'm gonna take this and just try to shape it without popping it. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but it's worth a shot. So I'm just gonna try to.
Mommy, what does this one say? What does this one say?
I wish I had a heart-shaped container to put this in, but I do not. We'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna just take some of these to decorate mine as well. All right, this is the girls' bread that they have decorated. And this is mine, trying to make it into a heart shape. It's already kind of ballooning back out, so I'm not sure it'll stay, but it'll still look good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a sieve and we are going to take some flour. You can just use all-purpose flour for this. And you wanna make sure your stickers are all touching, like the edges, so that you get really crisp lines.
Can I do mine, Mommy?
Hold on, gotta be patient. And so I'm just gonna put some, make sure you don't sneeze on the bread. That went well. So then we're just gonna dust the bread.
No, baby,
with
no.
the flour.
No.
So now what we can do is very carefully take off the stickers. All right, so here is theirs. We cleaned it up a little bit. Here is mine. And we now have to score the bread before it goes in the oven. So on theirs, I'm going to use a razor blade. You can also just use a really sharp knife. And you're gonna cut a line here on the side. I like to go in twice, and then on a third time, I try to go up against the lip and go right under the lip so that that lip really pops out. Okay, and for their bread, what we're additionally going to do is we're going to put sprinkles right here in this crevice so that that's popping out as well. So we've got our sprinkles here, and I'm just going to put them here in the crevice that we just made. And then as this bakes, that's going to open up and just have this like really fun little pop of color right here. I'm gonna do it in a way to see if I can help with the heart shape a little bit.
Mommy.
There, it's almost like a half heart. I'm gonna see what this looks like.
Mommy.
We'll have to just find out. And again, I'm just gonna go up and under the lip a little bit so that that edge really kind of pops up. And I love it when it's a bit crispy. So there's our heart, and these are now ready for the oven. So there are two methods when it comes to baking bread like this. One is you're gonna put it on the pan and you're gonna put a source of humidity in the oven. And the idea is that it stays humid until the end and then it gets crispy, because if it hardens on the outside, then it's not going to bake properly. You want to be able to let it open as it goes. The other is with a Dutch oven, which is the preferred method. It is a enameled cast iron pan. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my loaf, since it's more round, and I'm going to put it very carefully into my hot cast iron pan. Then I'm going to put the lid of it on, and I'm going to put it in the oven for 15 minutes with the lid on. The lid came off. Hold on. So I've got the lid on, and then I'm going to put this in the oven as well. If I had two Dutch ovens, I would put both in the Dutch oven, but also where this one's long, it may not fit. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and then I'm going to dump a bowl of ice cubes into the very bottom of the oven, not even sitting on anything. Put this in next to it, the other one. Okay, and then I'm going to quickly put this in, close this, and then that's going to keep the humidity in. I have it currently at 400 degrees, and I'll leave it there. I'll leave the Dutch oven covered for about 15 minutes, and then I'll kind of see if it's as big as I think it's going to get, and then take the lid off and let it crispen up. Here's what it looks like now. I am taking the lid off, and we will let it continue. Both breads just came out of the oven. Here is theirs. I think I maybe could have taken theirs out just slightly earlier. Here is mine. I love that there's no sprinkles showing through on the top except for on the crack. I can't wait to cut into it. I really like how it gives it that half kind of heart shape. But we need to let these cool so that we don't let all the moisture out. And once they are mostly cool, they can still be a little warm, but you don't want them to be hot. We're gonna cut into it and see what the inside looks like. We are back. We actually had a little pickleball break while the bread was cooling. So we just got back, and so it's time to cut open the bread and see what it looks like. Baby Elle, do you wanna do this one or this one? Both? So this is the one I decorated and did, and this is theirs, so I'll let her do hers. You ready? Are you ready?
Cake.
It looks like cake? What do you think? It's pink, and we've got the funfetti going. I'm pretty excited about that. What do you think? You want to try it? Yeah? All right. Let's try a piece. How fun is this? All right. You try it? Cheers. Is it good? It tasty? So the structure we have here is really good. It's slightly tight, but otherwise it's good. You'll notice if you press on it, it bounces back, but it's still really soft. The bubbles are evenly spread throughout the bread. They're not stuck here at the bottom or anything like that. So we're looking good. I'm pretty proud of it. Thank you all for joining us today. If you give this a try, please tag Singing Creek Farm in it. I would love to follow along and see if anyone else does this in your own little variation of it. But otherwise, if you all have any questions, you can let me know. You can go to my website if you want the recipe written out, or you can print it. But yeah, otherwise, thank you for coming with us today, and we hope you have a happy Valentine's Day.